What's up everyone, I'm Andrew, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how you can create a booking website. So whether it's for a barber shop or maybe a nail service or a kind of game or party or anything that people want to register, and you have some times and you want to show a calendar and the slots that people can book, and then when someone books a slot then it's no longer available. So here this is what we are going to build. As you can see, it's for a website for a fictional nail salon called Blush and Pink, and we have this page here on our front page. You can just put it anywhere you want, and we will just customize everything. So anything that you see here is just my decisions, and you have full control over what you are building. And as you can see, people can just select a service. For example, we have nail enhancement, pedicure, and manicure. And then if I just, for example, select nail enhancement and click next, then I'm just going to see the list of people who offer this service, the list of nail technicians. Then you might not want to have a list of people. So for example, you might be offering a service, for example, for an entertainment place, and then you don't have any provider. It's just fine. You can just not have it. It's a feature that you can just use. So then I can just select a technician and click next, and then we are shown a calendar. So as you can see, you can just select a date and click next and select a slot. Sorry, we have to select a slot. It's showing the available slots. You have full control over what we are seeing here. So here each slot is just 30 minutes, but you can just change it the way you want. And finally, we just have to enter our email and name, and it's just showing my email address. This is something that we added to this form, but you can just change it and maybe use phone numbers. You have full control over everything you have. And then we have the list of our technicians and our services. So very custom. You have a lot of power over what you are building, and then you can just extend it to anything that you want. And the plugin that we are going to use for this purpose is a new plugin that we haven't really talked about this company, but it just seems that they have very good products. We are going to use Jet Appointment. Jet Appointment allows us to have this appointment functionality. It's $19 per year, but it also needs another plugin from this company. That's Jet Engine, because this is the actual core that any of their plugins use this. So you have to pay for the $3 per year for Jet Engine, and then $19 per year for Jet Appointment, and that's all you have to achieve this. So this is what we are using for this tutorial. We are also going to use the pro version of Elementor, but it's not mandatory. So you can do with the free version. We have lots of tutorials on Elementor and some very good add-ons that can have some features of the pro version of Elementor. But if you have it, that's awesome, because we are going to use the pro version of Elementor for this tutorial. And along the way, we might get help from ChatGPT. This is a new thing that we are doing in our tutorial, so we might use ChatGPT. And also, I'm just going to show you how you can customize your emails. For that purpose, we are going to use Mailtrap. As a service, is completely free. You don't have to pay anything. Then we can just use Mailtrap to easily test our mails and customize them. So this is all we are doing in this tutorial. So let's get started. So as you can see, I have an empty website here, and we are just going to create this website all from scratch. Now I have my files ready. So I have a folder here, and I have my logo and images and the name of services. So all of my assets are ready, but we are just going to create this website completely from scratch. So here I have just installed all of my plugins, but I haven't activated them yet. So if I just bring install plugins, you can see that we have Elementor. So I'm just going to activate it and just simply skip this whole wizard. So let's just bring my admin panel again and plugins and install plugins. So we have Elementor and also Elementor Pro. And we have Jet Engine. So this is a core plugin from this company, CrocoBlock. And we have get appointment, which allows us to have this appointment system set up very easily. And finally, we have a WooCommerce, because you can either charge your users before ordering, so you charge the whole price, or you can just allow them to order for free and then you just charge at the place. So if you want to charge your users when they are ordering your product or services, then you just have to have WooCommerce. This is of course one of the options, but WooCommerce just makes it very easy to set up a payment method and price, and then you can just use WooCommerce features. So that's very cool. I'm also going to skip the WooCommerce wizard. We do not need it, and no thanks. And now we have our plugins, and we are just going to do some basic customization that we usually do. So first of all, I just want to fix my permalinks, because by default, it's just going to use ID, which is not very good. So I just bring setting and permalinks and just set it into post name. So this is the first thing we just have to do. And next, I just want to install the theme and just remove this blog section. We do not need it. Maybe you just can have your blog on a separate page. So let's just install a theme. And we are just going to use Neve here, which is a very good theme, but really it's up to you and doesn't matter. All of them work, of course, but you will just want to choose a theme that just is famous and has good support and has good features. So here we're just going to use Neve. Let's just install it. And now we can just change the settings. So I can just bring setting and change the front page. But first we just have to create our front page and also the other pages that we need. So let's just create our front page. I'm just going to call it home. So let's just call it home. This is going to be our front page. And here in the Neve setting, you just want to make sure that if you're using Neve, of course, that you disable the title of the page. So I'm just going to click on disable title. We do not want to have the title. And this is okay. Now I'm just going to create my other pages. So we just want to have one for our technicians. So our technicians. And again, we just want to disable the title. Now, when I click on disable the title, it just changes into default, I think. But we just want to use contained everywhere. So this is just okay. And I'm just going to create my last page, which is just going to be our services. And again, disable the title and make it contained and publish. So we now have 3 pages and I can just link to them. So I can just bring appearance and menus, and we just want to create a new menu. So I'm just going to call it main, primary menu, of course, create the menu. And now we just want to have our services, our technicians. I have to capitalize this, and home here. Okay, let's just capitalize it here, but we should probably do it in the page as well. So our services are technicians and home, and save the changes. And I also want to use this home as our front page. So in setting and reading, we want to have a static page. So it's just going to be home. And for the post, for now, we don't want to have any page for a blog post, but you can just change it later if you want to have a blog. And now, of course, we do have our front page, which is our home page, of course, our technicians page, which is empty, and our services. So we are really good to go, and we can just move on and start using the plugin in the next section. Okay, now we are ready to start using the plugin. Of course, there are more customization that we have to do. For example, we just want to change, put our logo here and change the color for the header and some of these elements. And we also want to create the front page, but we are just going to do all of that. So let's just start with the core features. So we know we have the features and functionalities, and then we can just do these touches. So here we have, as you can see, two plugins, appointments and jet engine. Now jet engine has lots of features, so it's not just for creating appointments. This is the core plugin, and as you can see, there are lots of features. For example, you can create custom post types, custom meta boxes, taxonomies, and then relations between them, or maybe custom queries. Now if you do not understand these terms, it's just completely okay. If you do not want to use many of these features, because we are just going to use this appointment plugin, so this is just fine, and we're just going to use it. Now to use this appointment plugin, we just have to create two custom post type, and a custom post type, if you do not know, is just a kind of container for your content. So by default, for example, you have pages, so you have pages and posts, but when you install WooCommerce, you have products. So a product is just another container for your content, so you can have many products. So here we are just going to create two separate custom post type, and this plugin has the feature to create custom post type by itself, so you can just use jet engine. Now in other tutorials we usually use another plugin for creating custom post type, so we usually use a CPT UI, but here this is just fine. We can just use jet engine because it has custom post type. So we just have to click on post type, and as you can see, we do not have any custom post type, but we can just create. So I can just click on add new. So the reason I said we have to have two post type is that one is going to be for our services and one for our service providers. So in this case, one is just going to be for different services that we are just going to offer, for example, nail trimming or nail enhancement, such things, and one for the providers, so which are the actual person, the actual nail technician that is just going to provide the service. Now if you do not want to have different providers, you just want to have offer a service, and then you don't want to have a separate provider, it's just fine. You just have to create one post type, and it's just very easy. I will just show you this in the setting what you have to do, but if you just want to have separate providers, different providers, then you just want to have two custom post types. So let's just start with the services. So I'm just going to call it services, and we have the post type slug. Services just okay, and you do not want to touch these settings here. We have the labels, it's just going to populate it automatically, it's just fine. We don't want to touch these settings. And we have advanced, again this is just all okay. We do not want to change anything here. And here for the supports, of course, we have title and editor, but because we just want to have a featured image, we can just add featured image here in the supports, because we just want to have an image for each service. So here I can just select featured, or maybe thumbnail. Okay, thumbnail or featured image, so we just want to have it. And this is just fine. This is fine. It has much more features, but this is just okay. We can also change this menu icon, which is just for ourselves. So like pages or products, as you can see, these have as you can see, they have these icons. We can just change this icon, and let's just do it. So maybe something service related. I think this is just okay. I really don't know, but this is just good for a service. And I can just click on add post type. Now we should have the post type here, services. This is just fine, and we are just going to create another post type for our nail technician. So click on add new, and this time I'm just going to call it nail technicians. And this like just nail technicians, this is just fine. And we do have the labels, it's just okay. Again, I'm just going to add this thumbnail or featured image here. And maybe we just want to change the icon. So here for the technicians, let's just use this avatar here and add post type. So now we have two post type that we can just use. So let's just create. So now we are really okay with this jet engine. We are just going to use it for adding listings, but I will just talk about that. So this is just okay. Now we just have to click on appointments after this, after we have set up these two custom post types, and then new, add new appointment. And then set up, because we haven't set up how appointments work. So you should have all of your appointments here, so you can see it's empty. Of course, this is just fine. You can just add appointments manually, but you don't want to do that. Maybe someone calls you and says, okay, just do this for me. Maybe he's your friend and you just want to do the appointment by telephone. Then you can just click on this add new, but it's not set up yet. So we have to click on this setup, and we just have to just follow these 4 steps to set up our appointment system. It's very easy. So we have this service post type, as you can guess. It's just going to be services, the post type that we just created for this plugin, so services. And then you can just say if you want to have providers. So if you do not want to have providers, then just one post type is just okay. But if you want to have different providers, you just check this and then add your provider. So it's just going to be nail technicians here. And then I just click on next. Now you have the default columns for each order or each book. So we have ID, group ID, status. These are the default columns. Now, if you want to have more columns, you can just add them here by click on this new DB column. So maybe you just want to have the phone number or maybe something more, but by default we have the user email and username, and this is just okay. So I'm just going to click next, but it's really easy to add a new column and then you can just use that column in your form. So I'm just going to click next. And then we have the time format. So this is just okay for the time format. We can use PM, AM, but this is just okay. And we have the schedule type. This is based on slots. Of course, we have a set of slots that people can choose. And the duration for each slot here is 30 minutes. So each slot just taking 30 minutes in the calendar. You can have a time before and after each slot, but we don't want to have them. So when one slot finishes, the next slot start. There is no gap between them. But if you want to have gaps, then you can just use this buffer time before and after for adding gaps between your slots. And this is just okay. And then you can just set up the days off in the year and working days. So we are just working from 8 to 5 every day except Saturday and Sunday, but you can just change it. And you can just have your days off. So this is very cool because you can just have all of your calendar for the year, and then it's automatically just going to show slots for the days that you are actually working and for the time that you are working. So this is just okay. And we click next. And here we have WooCommerce integration. If you click this on this WooCommerce integration, then people have to pay when they want to book something. I will just talk about it, but for now, let's just keep it off. And here we have two options here: create a single service booking form or create a sample page booking form. So for a single service, you're just going to have a booking form for each one of your services. But this one is just something more useful because you have a page. In this option, you have a page and people can just select all of your services within that form. So the difference is that in the first, you are just having a separate form for each one of your services. But here we have a form that everyone can just use for every service. So we're just going to stick with this and click finish. So now everything is just set up. And if I just click on this jet engine and forms, you can see that we have a new form now. As I told you, this jet engine plugin has many features. So it can create custom post types and custom taxonomies for you, but it also can create custom forms for you. Then you can just use each form with its source code. Now, Oh, the way this plugin is set up, and the recommended way to use this is just use these forms created by enginge. So by default, it's just going to create a form for you, but we can edit this form, and this is very cool. So to use it, you just have to grab this shortcode, copy it, and paste it anywhere you want. But we are just going to customize this form the way we want. So here we have the responses, and we have the actions that should be taken after a form is submitted, and we have the fields. I'm just going to talk about all of these features, but let's just see how this form works. So here I'm just going to be on my front page and click on edit page and edit with Elementor. Now you can use a shortcut, but in my experience it doesn't work very well. So the better approach is just search for form, and here we have this form which is just coming from this plugin. So one of these, and then we just have this form element which is coming from these Crocoblock plugins, because this is the form coming from Elementor. We do not want to use this, but this one is just from this plugin. I can just put it here and then select my form. So here, I think it's just called, okay, a static page booking form. You can just name it anything you want. And now it's just going to display my form. So here I can just update. Let's just bring my front page. So as you can see, we have our form here. People can select the service and select the provider. As you can see, it's empty, but this is just fine because we haven't added any service or service provider. So we can just add, and also we can just replace this select service provider with nail technician. We will just do that in a minute, but let's just add some provider or nail technicians and some service. So I'm just going to bring my admin panel, and then first of all services, and I'm just going to add some services here. It's just like ordinary blog post. You just click on add new. Then you have the name of your service, and here you can just set the price per slot. So $10, we're just going to stick with $10 for all of our services. So let's just fill in the information. So my first service is just going to be manicures. And then we want to have a featured image. And I'm just going to crop all of my featured images so that all of them are squared, because I just want the images to be consistent in the design. So I just set aspect ratio of 1:1 and then click on this crop. So let's just crop it in a square. So something like this. Crop and then save and set featured image. So we do have it. And this is just okay. I can just publish the service. Now I'm just going to do this for the two other services. Okay, now we do have all of our services, and similarly we can just add nail technician. So we just have to click on add new, and we of course first have to select the title and then the featured image. And let's just crop this one as well. I think it's a square by default. And here, as you can see, we have price. So it's inherent service price. So meaning that this person just uses the very same price. But if one of your technicians is, for example, charging higher, then you can just change the price. So you can select a slot and then change the price for this particular technician. Here, all of our services, here, all of our technicians are just charging the same amount. So this is just fine. And we can just publish. And you can also have a custom calendar here. This is also very cool. So for example, maybe this service provider, maybe this nail technician is just working on Fridays maybe, or maybe Saturdays, and not all of the days in the week. So this is very cool. So you can just change it here. Very nice feature. And this is just okay. Now I'm just going to add the two other technicians very quickly. Now we do have our technicians, and the final thing we just have to do is to just select which technicians provide which services, because now if I just click on this front page, although we have our services, but as you can see, the service provider is empty for every service because we haven't specified which services are provided by each service provider or nail technician. So here we can just click on one of the service providers. And here we have select services. So I can just enter the services that this service provider provides. So for example, let's say Zoe does manicures. So we have manicures and pedicures, but not nail enhancement. So let's just update it. And then we can just do it for the other as well. So for example, Lily does all of them. So manicure and pedicure and nail enhancement. And finally, Ella only does nail enhancement. That doesn't make really sense, but Ella only provides nail enhancement at the time. And here, if I just bring my front page and select pedicure, you can see that we have Lily and Zoe. And for nail enhancement, we have Ella and Lily. And for manicure, we have Lily and Zoe. So we have the matching service. That's very cool. Now we also do have the calendar. So when you select the service and select the provider, you just select the day and the time. So when someone takes a time or a day is off or is not available, then you don't see that in the calendar. And then you enter your email address and click book now. So let's just enter a dummy email address here, or maybe not Gmail, or example.com, and click on book now. So it just says form submitted, and basically we should have a new book. So here, if I just bring appointments and appointments, you can see that we have one appointment here. So the provider is here, the email is here, and we do not have username because we are not asking the username. We have the date and the information. It's pending, but we can just change its status and we can just delete it or edit it. So it's actually working now. Of course, there is much more thing that we are just going to do. So first of all, we are just going to change the way it looks. We are just going to display the images and change the style. And maybe we just want to I'll have it step by step so that it's just nicer and less intimidating to the user. We are going to customize the email, so we're just going to send an email to the user and also one to the owner of the website. And we are also creating pages for our services and our technicians to dynamically show the list of all of your services and all of your technicians. So it's just everything dynamic. And we're also going to do some little changes, for example, putting the logo and other stuff. So these are the things that we are just going to do. And also, as you can see, we do not have a thank you page. So when I just enter my email address and click on book now, just a message appears here. This is not what I want. I just want to have a thank you page, redirect to a page. We are just going to do all of that. So when someone orders, they get a nice thank you page with the information of their orders. We are just going to do all of that in other sections. Okay, so in the previous section, we created this basic form, but as you can see, we did not really customize this form. So everything is just the default out of the box. And this is not what we want. We want to be able to customize it to our needs. So here I'm just going to show you how you can customize your form. So first of all, we have to bring our admin panel and then jet engine and forms. So this is the form that we are using. You can change its name, you can delete it and use another form, just create another form from scratch. But it's just a little easier to edit an existing form that is just set up for you. So I can just click on it. So here, as you can see, we have our form and we also have this message. If you see this, you can just click on start update. It will just update your database and then you will be good to go. So it's just okay. So I just bring my appointments, jet engine and forms again. So this is the form that we are using. And as you can see, we have a bunch of fields. So this is hidden, so just ignore it. Any hidden form just holds the data for you, so you can use the data, you can send it, but it's just not showing up in the front end. Then we have a select for the service provider, for the service, and then we have a select for the provider, and we have the appointment date and email, and finally the book now. Now you can edit or delete any one of them. So you can just click on this edit icon here, and then you can just edit it. So for submit, of course, we only have label and custom CSS class. But for example, service ID, we have more options and we will just talk about them. So the first thing I just want to do is to just separate this form into multiple stages. This is a very common thing to do and just makes it much nicer for the user. So here I'm just going to click on this add page break. And I wanna place my first page break after this select so that people can select the service. Then we have a page break, and then they select the provider. I just want to put another page break there. So I just click on add page break and put it just after provider. Then we have the date, and I just want to put another page break after the date. So I can just put it here. And finally, we have user email and book now. So it's only asking for the user email. And we can have more fields. We can have any field that you want, but this is just a default. So you can ask for more information. But if you want to save them in your database, then you just want to add the fields in the appointment setup as well. So if you remember, there was a section that we could add more fields. This is just a standard field that you get. And I think in the standard is also saving username, so we can add it. So we have user email, but if I just click on add a new field and let's just edit it. So text, and yes, let's just call it username, because I think this field is present, so we can just use it. And for the label, I'm just going to type name and colon. or maybe username. It really doesn't matter. You can just have anything that you want. And required, and this is just okay. So I can just apply changes. Now we will talk about this default, so that you can just have a default value if the user is signed in, but we'll just talk about it. So I can just apply changes. Now as you can see, it's very easy to add another field. So here we have user email and username. I can just put it right there and update. And let's just bring my website. So as you can see, we have select service and this next button, and select provider. Next, we can select the date. Next, we have user email and username, and finally book now. So if I just add some dummy data here, and one for the username, we get form successfully submitted. And now if I just bring my admin panel and appointments, you can see that we have a new appointment here. So as you can see, it's not saving the username. So it's saving the email, but not the username, and we can just fix it. So let's just see what is the problem here, because we have the user email being saved, but not the username. So let's just see. If I just bring my jet engine and forms, and we also have it here. So here is the actual action that is inserting the appointment, because we have the fields here, but there should be some action when you use submit the form and you just want to insert an appointment. Now we can add more action. So we want to give an email notification to the user that is ordering, and also maybe to the website administrator, or maybe the provider himself, so he knows that, or herself, actually all of them are female, so she knows that someone has ordered. You can just do all of that in post submit actions. Also a redirect can be placed, so that when people submit the form, they are redirected to a thank you page. But this insert appointment is important, because by default it's just saving all of these fields but not username, as you can see. So I can just set it into username, so it's using this username for the username field. And now if I just click on apply changes and update, now we should get it basically. And this is the way you add more fields. So let's just do it again. So let's just have john@dough.com and John and form submitted. And if I just bring appointments, this time around we have the username, and this is just the way you do it. So we only have these fields, but if you add more fields, then you have the option to have more fields being filled, and you can just have as many as you want, and you can just have as many fields as you want. And this is very nice. Now this is still looking very basic, and because we have no control over these select options here. Of course, we can change the button elements using CSS, but first of all, we do not have any control over these options, because maybe we want to have some images, or maybe use another font or some visual effect. Now, if you want to have these features, then Jet Engine has you covered. So they have a feature called listings, and they are a little confusing at first. You can just see their video, but basically a listing is just a definition for a kind of item, and then you can just use that definition. So it's actually a template. For example, we want to have the list of service providers, or nail technicians, or services, and each one of them can be an listing item. So let's just do it, and I think by doing it you can get the idea. So we have to click on add new, and we just basically want to have two listings here, one for our service providers or nail technicians, and one for our services. So here we want to select the listing source. So the listing source is of course post, because we have a custom post type, and then we have the post type. So here it's just going to be services. So first of all, we want to do it for the services, and listing name, so service, and Elementor. So this is create listing item. Now basically what we want to do here is to just create one of the items. So whether we want to have the image or a checkbox or the information, this is just for one of the services, and then it's just going to use this template. It's very much similar to the loop builder in Elementor. We will actually use loop builder for creating our list of services page, but here it's just very similar if you have worked with loop builder. So first of all, I just want to have a free column section here because I want to have one column for the checkbox, one column for the image, and one column for the actual name. So let's just create that. So we have free column layout here. And the first one is just going to be a checkbox. So let's just have a checkbox. So let's just place this check mark here, like this. Now we want to just basically style it so that it's just better visible. So we have the box size, it's just fine, I think. And we can have an icon here, but I don't think we want to have an icon. So let's just change the color. So here for the default, I just want to make it maybe like this. And then when it's selected, just a very darker gray. And it's very small actually, so I just want to make it bigger. And this is, I think, just okay. And then we also want to center this listing, so I just have to click on this column. And for the vertical line, it's just going to be middle. And horizontal, just center. Now it's just, I think, good. Now if you're not getting the result, it can be a bug from Elementor. So just try refreshing the page, saving it and refreshing it, and it can solve your problem. So here we have the check mark, and then I just want to have the image. So here we can just search for image, and we just place an image here. Of course, you just have to make it display the actual image, and it's easy. So all I have to do is to just select this dynamic tags and then featured image. So it's just going to display the featured image, and because we are inside the listing, it just knows that it should display the featured image of the service. So here we have it. Of course, it's very big, so we just have to make it smaller, and I just also want to mask it. So let's just select the image and advanced and mask. And something like this, it's just nicer. And finally, we just want to have the actual title. So we can just search for post title if we wish. So we can just search for post title, but also we can just use these dynamic tags because we have this dynamic tags. It doesn't really make much. So we can just use this heading to grab the heading of our post, but we can also use this dynamic field because it's just coming from this CrocoBlock engine. So we can just put it here, and it just automatically set to the title. So you can just change it if you want to, for example, show the date or price or anything, but really we are just going to keep it simple. So we have the title, and again, I just have to center this. So vertical align middle, and horizontal, let's just set it into center like this. Now of course the text is not centered itself, so I have to select dynamic fields and style and just center it like this. Actually we don't want to center it because we don't have any other column here, so let's just put it in the start, and I think this is just better. So we have it like this. So let's just update and visit my page to see what we get. So here, of course, we should not get anything because we haven't modified the form. So what you have to do after you create your listing is to tell your form to use your listing instead. So you just have to bring Jet Engine and then forms and select the form that you're using. And here for the service. So let's just edit it. So we have select service, and it's set to select. We want to change it to radio, because these are just called radio buttons that you have to select only one of them, not checkboxes, because with checkboxes you can select more than one. So we just select radio, and then we have this custom item template. This is very cool because we can use the listing here. So we just check it, and we just have to select the listing. Of course, service is just the listing that we just created. So if I just select it and apply changes and update, we should actually get it. So as you can see, we do have our listing, and as you can see, the color changes. Now I also want to have a hover effect and also stylist buttons. We will just do it, but basically it's just working. Now let's just create a hover effect very quickly. So I can select the whole section and bring style and background. And for the background, we want to change the background for the hover state. Set it into classic and something like this. We can also use pink for this website, but I think this is just okay. So let's just refresh, and now we do have it. We can also make it more stylish. So for example, I can just give it a rounded corner. So let's just bring border radius and EM and just give it some rounded corners. Okay, it's, I think, a lot. So I think 2 is just going to be good. So we have it all like this. It's really up to you what you want to have. So this is just okay. It's a little invisible, so let's just make it a little lighter, very light, so something like this. And also increase the transition time so that we get a nice animation here. As you can see, it's just going softer here, and this is just cool. So we have it. Now we just have to do the exact same thing for our service provider or nail technician. So here I can just select this one, and we want to change this as well. It's the same process. So first of all, we just have to bring jet engine and listings and create another one, post, and select a post type. This time it's just going to be nail technician, and we want to set a name, so nail dash technician. An Elementor, we're just going to create the item. Now, because it's just going to be very similar, I just want to grab the same design and copy it and paste it here. So it's just very easy to do. So all I have to do is to just bring jet engine and listings, and this time around my services, and sorry, I brought post type listing and services, and click on this service and edit with Elementor. And I can just grab this whole section. So what we want to do is to just right click on it and click on this copy. This is the copy coming from Elementor. So I can just copy it, and then we can just paste it. But I have to have an element here to be able to right click on it. So here, just add a section here and click on paste. Now we get our section, and we can just get rid of this one. So, and let's just bring my front page so to see what we get. So of course I just have to make it use the listing. So jet engine forms, select my form, and then provider, so this one. And of course we just want to change it from select provider to select nail technician. And then we can just select this custom template and set it to nail technician. And we also have to set this option to yes. So use custom templates for items, yes, and apply changes. and update, and let's just bring my front end. So if I just select the service, you can see that we do have the list of providers and it's using the template. So that's very nice. Now we are using the very same template, but you can create a separate template for this one. It's just completely up to you. We just copied the template to here, and as you can see, it's just working, and we have the calendar and next, and it's just all working, but there are still more work to do. So in the next section, we will just customize our front page and this form. So we can just make these buttons nicer. We can just give our website a general style, put our logo here, and maybe also in the form, make this form much more beautiful. And after we do all of this in our next sections, we can just continue with some core features of this plugin. So we can just send emails and also add redirects so that the user can be redirected to a thank you page and see their user information. And we can just also pre-populate these forms. We will just do all of that. Okay, now we have the main functionality that we need, but we are just going to do some styling changes here, and then we can just continue with the other features that we want to add. So let's just add a logo very quickly. So I just bring the customizer and click on this logo here, and we can just upload our logo. And just make it a little larger like this. This is just okay. Now we also want to change the general theme, so we just have to bring color and background. And first of all, I just want to set my primary accent into black, so full black here. And for the secondary, just a dark gray. And for the background, I'm just going to use a pink color. So I already have the code. I can just paste it here, and this is the pink that we are just going to use for the background. And just light background and dark background and text color are just okay. And I'm just going to just give this extra color, maybe red. This is, I think, for errors and something like that. So we have it also. Let's also use a dark gray here. So this is, I think, better now. I also want to change this highlights because it's just going to, if it's pink, it's just going to match the background and just be nicer. So let's just publish it. And let's just also quickly change the typography. So I just select typography and font presets, and let's just see which one we like. So I think this is just good. So I'm just going to publish. And let's just edit these forms very quickly. So I just bring jet engine and listing. And first of all, nail technician. Edit with Elementor. And we can just select the whole section, style, and hover. Now let's just put my pink color now. We just want to make it a little lighter, maybe like this, and let's just grab it so that I can just use it for my services as well. So this is just okay. So we have it, it's just a little nicer. Let's just do it for the services very quickly. So jet engine listing and service. Let's just select the section, style, hover, and just paste the color here so I can just update. And now we do have our effect. So this is just fine. Now we want to also edit this whole form. So we basically have to bring Elementor for the current page. So I'm actually editing my front page. And now we can just select this form and just do some changes here. So here, if I click on a style, you can see that we have lots of options here, and that's pretty cool. So if you just put the shortcode, first of all, it doesn't work very well. So I had some problems with the shortcode, and you can not customize it. But using this form element, we can easily customize almost everything. So here we have this next button, and let's just give it some border radius. Maybe like 15, and also for the previous button I just want to have 15 pixel border radius. Like these, and also for the submit we want to have 15 pixel. So I think this is just okay. I want to make this text a little larger, but I cannot do it from here, right? As much as I know, so I have to change it from the listing. So let's just update it and quickly bring my listing again. So jet engine and listing, and first of all nail technician, and then service. And we just want to make this text a little larger, so I can just select it and bring typography and EM and just make it maybe like 2 EM or 1.7 is just okay. So we want to also do it for this one. And now if I just bring my front page, we have this larger fonts, and we can just select them. We have the calendar, and it's just a little nicer. Now I also want to give it a box and also put a video on my front page, so we can just do it. So this is just my choice. You can just make it the way you want. So I can just select this whole section and bring a style and background and then video. So I just have to upload my video and then put the link. So let's just do it. So I bring my media library. So select file, and then I have my video here. I can just upload it and just simply grab the URL so that we can just put it here. And now we do have the video. I just want to make this section a little larger. So here on layout and height, I just want to have min height and just use viewport height. So this is based on the viewport, and something like this. This is just cool. Now I also want to give this transparent background here so that the text are more visible. So I can just select my column here and style and background and classic. So I'm just going to give it white, but just reduce the opacity. So something like this. So the text are visible, but we also can see the background. So this is just nice. And now I can just give it some border radius in EM. Something like this, and also some padding. So let's just select the column and advance and EM. So we just want to have some padding, some room here, and it's just okay. I just want to put my logo here, and we can just do it. So I can just add an image here, and then we can just select our logo like this. I think this is just cool. So let's just update, and let's just bring my front page. Now we do have a logo. We have this transparent background. We can just select these options. It's just looking much nicer. And next, so it's just working okay. So we are just okay with this form, I think. Now what we want to do is to just do what happens after we submit the form, because all right, now if I just add something, we just get this form successfully submitted. And of course, this is not the best thing to give your customers when they order something. So in the next video, we are just going to set some actions that happen after the form is submitted. We can just send emails. We can just redirect to a thank you page, a custom thank you page that we will build, and we will do all of that in the next section. Okay, so in this section, we are just going to customize the actions that happen after our form is being sent. So the first thing I just want to do is to just set up mail trap. Now, mail trap is just for testing our emails. We're just allowing mail trap to get every email that we send. We don't have to use actual email addresses, because we can just see every email that is sent from our WordPress website, and it's completely free. Now, this step is optional. If you have your mail, PHP mail or anything that you're using set up, then you can just test on real email addresses, but this is just a very convenient way of testing emails. So what I have to do is to just select my inbox here, and here we have these integrations, and all you have to do is to just select WordPress. So from PHP and WordPress, and you just have to just copy this code and paste it. Now it has my credentials here, and you just copy your own code because it has your credentials, and then you can just paste it in your functions.php. So I can just bring appearance and themes. So I can just bring appearance and theme file editor. Now it's just giving me a warning, and we know that we might break things and we lose everything when a future update happens to your theme. So we understand these things. And now I can just click on functions.php and add my code here. So let's just comment and say mail trap config, or maybe setup, not config. And now I can just paste my code here and update my file. And now basically every email that you send is just going to be landed on your inbox here. And this is very cool because we can easily now test our emails and also customize them. So I can just bring my form here from Jet Engine and forms. And this is the form we are using. Now, before continuing with these notifications and actions, I just want to show you how you can pre-populate some forms. So basically, let's just say we want to just have the user email and username if the user is logged in. So this is something logical, because if you have a login and registration in your WordPress website set up, then you just want to put the email in the email field and username so that the user doesn't need to enter them. So it's just very easy. So I just select my user email, and here we have default, and I can just select it. So it's just going to come from user and current user and email. So I can just select done, apply changes. And also for the username, I'm just going to do the very similar thing. So for default, it's just going to be user and current user, and we can just use first name or user login, which is going to be your ID. So this is just okay. And you can also have the placeholder here, or input mask. You can just do many things here. So there are lots of features that we really didn't cover. So I can just now update. And now, because I'm logged in here, if I just try to order, so nail enhancement and Lily, and select the date and next, and as you can see, my email and my username are pre-populated here, so they are the default values. So this is a nice thing that we can just do to our website, and now we are ready to continue with this action. So the first action here is, of course, insert appointment. We always need it because you're just going to add the appointment into your database so that it's visible here. Now, if you have any additional field, you just have to add them in your insert appointment, but we can have more notifications. So if I just click on add notification, you can see that we have sent email. So it's just going So if I just click on add notification, it's just going to have send email by default. But if I just edit it, you can see that we have send email, insert update posts, register new user. So also you can make your form the way that it registers a new user every time someone orders something. So this is also very cool. We have update user, update options, call a hook, call webhook, redirect to a page. We're just going to use it, MailChimp, active campaign, get response, and insert appointment. So lots of options here, but here we're just going to look at sending emails and redirecting to a page. So let's just start with a redirect, and then we can just add send email. So let's just have redirect to a page. Now we have to select the page here. It can be a custom URL or current page or a static page. In this case, and usually you just want to create a static page. So a static page, and here we have to select it. So let's just have my page. So we have to create a new page. And let's just call it thank you and publish it. And now we can just click on edit with Elementor. So we're just going to put a heading here and type thank you. And also let's just change the style. Make it larger. And I also want to put my logo there, so let's just put an image here and select my logo. So like this. Now we will also display the information here, but for now it's just okay. So let's just see if we get this page. So I can just update it. And now basically we should be able to use that. So it's not yet showing here. So if I refresh, so let's just update so that we don't lose anything. And now if I refresh here for this, okay, not send email, but rather redirect to a page. And then we can just redirect to a static page. And now I can just select my thank you page. And here we have these query arguments. So it's very important because when you redirect your page, you want to know who was the user and have some information basically. Now, if you do not include them in your query variable is just basically this question mark and anything that comes after it. You do not have any information, so you don't know who is the user, you don't know anything about the appointment, but we just want to have it. So basically we just want to have service ID and provider ID. I'm not going to add appointment date, it's just going to be a little long here, so we don't want to use it, but user email and also user name. So we want to have this information, and this is just okay. So I can just apply changes and update. And now if I just bring my front page and pedicure, Lily, and I can just select the date, next, and book now. And now we are redirected to our page. So this is very cool. So we have our page, and now we basically want to display some information here, but it's easy to do. So now that we have it, we can just display some information. So first I just want to add a text area here. Sorry, a text editor. And let's just say your order was received. A copy of information below was also sent to your email. Okay, a typo here. A copy of information below was also sent to your email. Now let's just make it white and a little bigger. or maybe we can just use something like this, maybe like black or dark gray. And now we can basically display the information. Now the reason we can do this is that they are being sent to the URL. So after this question mark, we have service ID, provider ID, user email, and username. Now if you do not have this information, it means that your form is not correctly set up. You're not sending these query variables, and basically you cannot use them. So now because we have them, we can just use them. So I can just search for dynamic field. This dynamic field is a very convenient way of using these query variables, and it's coming from this plugin. So I can just put it here. And basically here it's just saying thank you because it's just set to object name, but we can just change it into query variable. And then we basically have to get whatever we want. So let's just start with the user email. So I can just have user email. Now it's not showing anything here, but it's actually working. And we can just click on this customize the field output. And this is the actual value that it's getting, is actual email. So you can just put anything before it or after it. So for example, I can just say your email and then colon, and then we have the value. So this is nice, and we can just make it a little larger, maybe white. And a little larger, so like this. Now I can just simply duplicate and change the value. So from your email, we can just change it to username. Again, it's present in the query variable. So I can just paste it there and say your name or username or anything really. You can have as many fields as you want, for example, phone number. And then you can just duplicate this again. This time around, it's just going to be the service provider. Now this is a little tricky. So if I say technician, you're selected, or maybe you're technician. We are not getting anything here, but if I just update and refresh, email is just okay, name is okay. Okay, for technician, I didn't change the query variable. It's still username, so let's just change it into provider ID. And now look, we still have a problem. So if I just put it here and update and refresh, it's just going to display the ID, which is not what we want. If we want to display the actual name, that's because the ID is being sent, not the actual name. But luckily we can just fix it, because here we have this option, filter field output. We have to just select it, and then we can just say what we want to display. So here, we can just simply select get post title. Now it's just going to get it based on the ID. Now this is fine. So we just have to first of all select it, and then we want to basically select these get post by ID, get post title but ID by ID. So it's just here. So get post title from ID. Now it's not going to display anything here, but it's just going to work. So if I just update and refresh, we do have the name. So that's cool. And we can just duplicate it again, one for the service. So let's just change this first one. So we have to grab this service ID from here and just simply paste it, and your service, update and refresh, and we also have the service. So it's just very nice and working. So your order was received, a copy of information was also sent to your email, and we also have the information. So that's actually looking very nice. Now we are not sending any email, and we just want to do that. So now we are not sending any email, but we can just do that. So let's just bring my form, and here, as you can see, we have the redirect. Now there is one important point here, is that your redirect should be the last action, because when you redirect, then you can no longer do any other action. So I can just apply changes and update. I think it's just updated. And now we can just simply add another notification. Now it's actually saying the redirect should be the last. It's correct, so I can just put it there. So we have sent email, and we all actually want to have 2 send emails. So let's just cancel and add another notification, put it above the redirect. Now we have 2 send email, one for the admin and one for the user. So let's just start with the user. So here we have send email. So here the type is send email, correct. Mail to not the admin, but actually the user. So it's going to be email from submitted form field. This is correct. And then from field is of course going to be your user email. This is the field that is holding the user email. And we do not want to reply to. Here we can just put the subject. So you can also use these macros in the body, but let's just say order received. It can be really anything. And then we can just put the subject here. So let's just type order received, or like this. And from it's just okay, we do not want it. From email address, it's just going to be your website email address. So it can be anything that you're using on your website. So in this case, let's just say order at blushandpink.com. Just let's say this is our email for orders. And here we just have to put the actual content. Now I'm just going to ask ChatGPT to do it for me. So let's just copy this information. I can just hand it to ChatGPT.com, and it's just going to write my email for me. So it's a little faster. So let's say I'll write an email in HTML with inline CSS. So for your emails, you want your CSS to be inline. That's better. So write an email in HTML with inline CSS, and the email is a thank you for an order. From a website called Blush and Pink. Let's just have this end. Use the needed macros from below. And let's see what we get. Okay, as you can see, the style is not inline. I want it to be inline. So let's just copy it again and just emphasize. Add every CSS inline. Now it's actually using the CSS inline. This is just more compatible for emails. So let's just see what we get. Okay, that's cool. Now I can just use it and just put it here. Now I think we do not need this head, and let's just grab the body. So we have the body, and I can just paste it here, apply changes. So we do have our email, and update, and let's see what we get. So I have to basically order a new service. So nail enhancement again. Next, book now. Now it's taking a little longer. That's because it's sending the email, so that's correct. So we have the information here, and now if I just open Mailtrap, we should have a new email, order received, and thank you for your order, dear customer. And we have the service link and appointment start. And now, as you can see, the appointment start and end are not correct because they're not readable. So it's better to really omit them. And maybe local time zone, we do not need it. But we have a very nice email, and that's a thanks to ChatGPT because it takes a little time to create this. But if we have it, then we can just customize it, and it's very good. Now we have the email. We can also similarly create an email for the admin, and you can also, if you are holding the information, for example, the email addresses of your service providers, you can send them emails as well. You can just do all of that, but you have the idea and you know how you can just do it. In the next section, we are just going to create our services and our technicians page, and we are basically done with this website. In this final section, I'm just going to show you how we can list our services and our technicians in separate pages. And I'm also going to show you how you can activate WooCommerce. That's just a checkbox and really doesn't have much to do. So here, let's just start with our services. So I'm just going to bring our services page and click on edit page and edit with Elementor. Now, the reason we can just do this very easily is that this plugin is just using custom post type. So it means that we can use loop grid from Elementor or any kind of plugin that is using custom post type. So that's the flexibility that this plugin is just giving us. So I can just bring this loop grid, and basically what it does is that it loops over a custom post type that you select in your query. So here in the query, we can set the source and change it from a post into services. Now it's just going to loop over all of our services, and basically we can just display them. So I'm just going to update, and then we just have to click on this create template and save changes, of course. And here we can say how we can display a single service, and it's just going to use it for all of the services. So here we can have, of course, featured image. We just want to have the featured image of the service. It's not showing anything here, but we can just change the previous setting to get something. So here, let's just change it into services, and let's just select a service. So for example, nail enhancement, and apply and preview. Now we do get the featured image, and we can just use it. So here we have the featured image. We can also have the post title, and we can just do anything that we want. Let's just change it into H3 and white, and just adjust the font size like this. And you can also give this column background color. So let's just do it quickly, classic, and let's just paste the color. So this is the same color. Of course, I'm just going to make it a little lighter, or maybe we can just make it darker, and something like this I think is just good. And now I can just give it some padding. So EM, give it some padding like this. Let's just make it a little smaller, and some more padding like this, and we can just give it some rounded corners. So let's just do it. EM, and we have some rounded corners. So this is just nice, and we have it. And let's just play with it a little. Let's just give it a corner like this, and we can just give it give the image the same corner, so we get this shape like this. I think this is just nice. And now I can just update, and guess what, if I just bring my front page and our services, we have the list of all of our services. So that's very cool. Now they are not clickable because we do not have separate pages, but you can basically do it because you can make it point to the actual page, and it's just going to be very easy. I'm just going to show you how to do it. So let's just do the same thing for our technicians, and then I'm just going to show you how you can make them clickable. So for our technicians, we can just do the same thing. So we click on edit page and edit with Elementor, and then a loop builder or loop grid, I think they call it loop grid. And for the query, this time we're just going to select nail technicians, update, and then create template, save. And we can just display the preview settings. So this time it's just going to be nail technicians. Let's just select Lily, update. And now we can just have the featured image and also the post title. And maybe let's just this time mask this image like this and give this whole section a background color. So classic. So something like this, some padding, of course, and some rounded corners. And update. And basically now if I just bring our technicians page, you can see that we have the images. Now none of them are clickable, but this is something that you can just do. So let's just click on edit with Elementor for our technicians and click on edit template. And basically we can just make this image clickable or this text. Now there is a plugin that you can install and then you can just make the whole column clickable, but let's just do it for the image. So here we can just select the image and link, and it's going to be a custom URL, and here it's just going to be dynamic URL. So we can just click on dynamic tags and post URL and update. And now guess what happens? So if I just refresh and bring our technicians and click on one of the technicians, we get the page. So now we haven't customized this page, but basically you can create a link like this, and then you can just, using the pro version of Elementor, create a template. So it's very easy. If you have followed our tutorials, you know how to do it, but basically you just have to bring templates and add new. And then you basically have to select the type of the post that you want. So in this case, it's just going to be a single post, and then we can just create a template. Now it's just going to use it for all of the single posts, but then we can just change the settings. So here, if I just close this and publish, it's just going to ask me where do you want to display it, and we can just simply say only use it for my nail technicians. So all nail technicians, I can just save and close. And now basically we can just create a custom page. So let's just have a full width section here, and let's just use the image of the technician. So we can just use this featured image. Let's update, and now if I just, let's just copy so that we have it here. If I just bring my front page and our technicians and click on one of them, we get the image and nothing else. So we can just customize this the way we want. So now we only have the image, but basically we can do it, and we can also set the preview so that it's a little easier to work. So here we can just say nail technicians, and for example Lily, and now it's just going to, if I apply and preview, it's just going to display the information for this nail technician, and we can just simply create the page. So it's going to be very easy. You can just style it the way you want. So let's just, for example, make this image smaller, maybe like, okay, let's just use custom, like this, and then you can just put the information that you want. So for example, post title is just going to be the name, so we can just have the name here. And you might want to have other information, for example, a resume from the technician. And basically all you have to do is to just add more fields to your custom post type, because we created a custom post type in the beginning of this tutorial. So it's just available here. So if I just bring jet engine and post types, you can see that we have these nail technicians. Okay. So here, as you can see, we have these meta fields, and we basically can have as many meta fields as we want. So it can be other images or even colors or text, and then you can just use them as custom fields. So this is just basic things related to custom post types. We have a full tutorial on custom post types. That you can just learn to use them very effectively. So basically now if I just bring our technicians, we have the template that we just created. It's not very nice, but you know that you can create. And now finally, I just want to talk about two important points here that I didn't. So first of all, if you want to activate the WooCommerce integration, that's really easy. You just have to install WooCommerce, set up your payment methods, and then the only thing you have to do is to just click on this appointments and setup, and then just bring general setting and WooCommerce integration, just turn it on, and then you have to get a sample product. So if you click on WooCommerce, products, you should be able to see a new product called appointment, and you actually don't have to delete it because it's needed for the plugin to work. Now, for example, you can just omit it from search if you have a search on your website so that it doesn't show up, but actually you have to have this product for the plugin to work. And then just very easy, it will just work. And now I haven't set up any payment methods, so I'm just going to turn this feature off. But you can just do it. And the final thing I just want to talk about is another type of field. So if I just bring jet engine and forms and bring my form and add a field, you can see that, well, that we have a bunch of fields up, of course, text area hidden is just for front end having data, but it's not actually being shown. But there is one other thing that it's actually important, and that's calculated. So maybe you just want to display some information. So this is actually not a field, but actually a value that is being displayed. So maybe you just want to, for example, display your service ID. Now you don't want to display service ID, but usually you just want to display the price or the total price. Then you can just put your formula here and it will just appear. So these calculate fields are very good for displaying the price of your car. So actually we're not displaying the price, but you can just do it and put it anywhere that you want. And we are actually done with this tutorial and with this website. Now there are much more things that you can just create. There are lots of features that you can experiment with this plugin. For example, you can enable login and registration. We have a very good tutorial on that. And if you just enable it and install the plugins and do the things that we do on that tutorial, it will just work very nicely with this plugin, and you can just have login and registration for your users. As you can see in your form actions, you can create a new user. So you can have more fields and then create a new user when someone books a service. And there are lots of things that you can just do. And I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to our channel for more WordPress content. And like always, you can reach our team from the link in the description.